Experienced something of a reversal of fortune after switching coaches. Their World Cup hopes seem to be in tatters. They had a dismal Confederations Cup. They were highly criticised back home, and after 6 defeats in a row, ultimately coach Meza paid the price. Javier Aguirre was brought in, and suddenly the sun was back out shining in Guadalajara.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a turnaround, and certainly I think the changes in personnel tonight are going to make a difference, and he really is looking forward to the World Cup qualifying games, and it just shows that the people are using this as somewhat of a warm-up for the World Cup qualifying campaign, which is disappointing, but in the same vein it allows us to see a whole breadth and different nature of the depth of squads that Mexico has.
Well, as for Paraguay, I guess they're a bit like a tiger lurking in the world footballing undergrowth right now. They've got plenty of raw power. They're stealthily clawing their way up the world rankings, now number 10, and against Peru in that terrific 3-3 draw, well, they demonstrated all their survival instincts.
Very much so. A lot of spirit in the side to come back from 3 times and eventually do it in the dying seconds to get their equaliser. Fantastic spirit in the squad. I felt they didn't have the flair of certain other teams, but disciplined, organised. They played that 4-4-2, very regimented, sometimes 4-4-1-1, and it's going to be interesting to see how that Mexico cope with that system tonight.
It's fair to say that Paraguay really are overlooked, aren't they, by a lot of nations worldwide?
Certainly are. I mean, if people in the European nations were drawn in a World Cup qualifying group, when they got qualifying against Paraguay, they wouldn't be too concerned. But you realise the strength and depth of South American football. You consider they're 10th in the world now, and they're beating Mexico regularly. I think Mexico haven't beaten them since '95, so it's going to be difficult for Mexico tonight.
Well, a minute's silence about to be held on behalf of a Paraguayan who used to coach some of the kids in Colombia. Silence in honour of Cesar Lopez Fretes, who used to coach some of the young Colombians at the Deportivo Pereira club, and a national coach in Colombia as well. But we're underway with Paraguay in the red and white stripes and Mexico in their traditional green and white. It's Pascal Guerrero Stadium, holding just over 45,000, the pitch in excellent condition in Cali, and typically warm, as indeed have all the matches been in this Copa America so far. The atmosphere's been hot, the football's been pretty electric as well. Paraguay with 2 changes, one of them enforced, with Canizar, their left back, missing after his red card against Peru. They're missing Morinigo, who's out injured, but we do expect him to be back against Brazil. But certainly the Paraguayan coach Sergio Markarian likes to play with a 4-4-2. Yeah,
very much so, and it'll be interesting to see how Mexico adapt. It does look like what they're going to play. They are playing with the back 3 again. I think Rodriguez has dropped in there, but it's interesting that Mercado, a defensive player, is almost playing, like the defensive shield in front of that back 3, and this is a tactic that a lot of the South American sides play, and it really is quite effective. And Mercado's job will be policing in front of that back 3, making sure that the ball doesn't get to the front man's feet.
Well, this is the 10th international meeting between Paraguay and Mexico, 3 wins each so far. But Paraguay haven't lost any of the last 4. We'll have to go back to 1993 for Mexico's last victory. This is Rodriguez. A useful looking cross as well. That's one of the areas that they've been so threatening in the opening match and a bit in this Copa America.
Yeah, wonderful delivery there. Rodriguez playing in that right wing-back role, good attacking play, wonderful ball in. And what you like to see your forwards do is get across the face of defenders, and De Nigres does that very, very well. Only a young lad, 23, and he's done it as well. Good height and good physical presence, down looking at to hit the target.
Goalkeeper for Paraguay, Tavarelli, but a change in goal for Mexico. Perez, who did so well the other night against Brazil, and replaced by Martinez. He's with Santos Laguna. Isasi is the right back for Paraguay. Garay, you may recognise, having scored the equalising goal in that thrilling 3-3 game against Peru the other night. 3 times behind, 3 times they fought back. Denigris. Mexico with a great chance tonight to progress through to the quarter-finals. Victory would confirm that status for them. Mercado switching the play out to Alberto Rodriguez. 3 players in the Mexican squad, incidentally, called Rodriguez. Number 2 is Alberto Rodriguez. Hierro has joined Marquez and Vidrio as the 3 centre-backs in this system that Mexico prefer to play. It's something that a number of the South American nations have done, and they've quite often gone for the 3 at the back.
Yeah, and I really do. I think a lot of people thinking, certainly on the European continent, that when you play 3 at the back, it's a negative tactic and the extra defenders there. There's a number of ways to play it, and certainly they use the sweep role here more, but a lot of sides on the South American continent, what they do is, instead of the central man being the sweeper, he comes out and plays in front of the other 2 markers and joins in with the play. Mexico aren't doing that tonight. They're letting Mercado do that role, and as a result, Mercado's got to be very, very comfortable on the ball, and you've already seen him spray balls wide a couple of times. So it's a system they feel very comfortable with, and it also gives you some strength in defensive depth.
Ciso for Paraguay, looking for Garay. This is Victorino for Mexico. Lovely approach play already by the Mexicans. Victorino again. He's got Rodriguez on the overlap here. Intelligent use of the ball by Mexico. Just needed someone to follow up the little knockdown there, but the Mexicans have started very brightly.
Yeah, very, very brightly, and they really move the ball around well. And it's a side function of their system they're playing away, and it allows Mercado to sit in front. And what that means is you've got a 4 midfield players that really can get involved in the play. Rodriguez joining in run side, almost like a right winger. Victorino and Garcia Aspe holding that midfield ground, and Valdez bombing on down the right and left-hand side. And that's what's happening. They just can't get the ball off at the moment, Paraguay, and certainly looking nice and bright, really purposeful, and very, very dominant force at the moment.
Well, with Vidrio and Marquez, they have 2 very good-looking centre-backs as well. This is Victorino. Good placement of the cross, just too strong for Denigris. It's picked up here by Valdez. And Mexico with the first corner of the contest.
Yeah, and as you say, they really are pushing forward, Mexico. And what it does, it makes the wide men of Paraguay, and Robles and Alvarenga or Silvio Garay, drop back very, very deep. And as a result, you can't get out. You're left with your forwards, Ferreira, somewhat isolated, and there's no platform to build on. And as a result, you invite pressure. And what you have to be brave, enough to let the right wing back and left wing back come onto your fullbacks and almost go 4 for 4 at times.
Marquez making the run near post, Vidrio coming in behind, and this is Vidrio. The goalkeeper initially put under pressure by Denigris, but Vidrio, who plays his football in Mexico at the Pachuca club. He used to play under Aguirre at Pachuca. He played in the Copa back in 1995, but he didn't participate since then. Good effort from him.
Don't see too many centre-halves doing that in on the European Cup, that's for sure, Steve.
Garcia Aspe is the man with all the experience in centre field for Mexico. Brought back by coach Aguirre, and his influence was there for all to see against Brazil.
I'll tell you what Denigris is doing, the 14 there, the young 23-year-old. He brings a bit of physical presence to Mexico's side, and he was certainly on the other that corner there and really giving a bit of pressure to the Paraguayan goalkeeper.
Well, the only match between these 2 nations at Copa America was in 1995. Paraguay beat Mexico 2-1, and that was the start of their 4-game unbeaten run against tonight's opposition. Marquez, one of the Few players in this Mexican squad to play his football abroad. He plays with Monaco in France. And here's Vidrio, who had that spectacular-looking overhead kick just a moment or two ago. Escobar has replaced Caniza as the left-back for Paraguay tonight. And this is Isasi. Garay chasing.
What is interesting on the other side, for looking from Paraguay's point of view, and the positive things from their system, is because they play Ferrer almost like the out-and-out only forward, it really does give the problem to the back three of Mexico. You know, you've got three marking one, and that sometimes causes a problem. I know that a number of managers, if they were playing against one up front, would revert to a four. Mexico haven't do that. You know, they've stayed with their system, and it'd be interesting how it develops as the game progresses.
Earlier on this evening, Brazil beating Peru by 2-0. That spectacular goal from Danielson. And certainly with these two pushing for qualification as well, it perhaps just adds a little bit of tension into their play. Mexico know they can qualify for sure with a win. It's Ferreira, the number 11 for Paraguay, who scored 2 of the goals against Peru the other night.
Yeah, and already I've seen a couple of times that the through ball's not been quite bright, but he makes good little blindside runs. He just gets on the shoulder of defenders, pulls off so they don't know where they are, and make little diagonal runs are. And it's very, very important that you have bright movement up front. And Ferreira's not one of them ones who chase about, but when the ball gets around the box, he really is nice, bright and sharp, and that's what proved with the 2 goals the other day against. Really was very, very good finishes, excellent finishes against Peru.
That's good play from Rodriguez. Escobar taking control here for Paraguay. They've always been known, Paraguay, as being the sort of team who will contain an opposition and then try and counter quickly.
Well, so many teams in world football now, Steve, play that counter-attacking way. I know that there was a lot said about Liverpool when they won the treble and how they played on the counter-attack. And, you know, if you've got pace in the side and you've got the ability to soak up pressure, it certainly is a way to lull teams onto you, and it's been very, very effective over a number of years for a lot of teams, and it certainly was effective for Liverpool last year.
Well, they showed the ability to come back from a goal down 3 times against Peru. It was terrific fighting qualities they showed. They were a man down, remember, with Caniza going off. Peru then pressed the self-destruct button when they went 3-2 up. El Salah sent off almost immediately, and Peru rather shot themselves in the foot there.
Yeah, and also I think it's much more difficult to play on the counter-attack when you go behind, Steve. You know, you really want to be 0-0 and then hopefully nick something or be ahead. It's much easier when you're ahead in your game to play on that counter-attack. So certainly in the game against Peru, they had to chase the game at times, and they did that, to be fair. They got back in the game 3 times, excellent spirit, and that will really please McCary and the coach.
I'll tell you what they really did well against Peru, and that was to exploit the fact that they were playing against a team with only 3 at the back.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make, Steve, because it really is interesting when you're playing with, you know, you're playing a 4-4-2 against 3 at the back. The decision that the team with 3 at the back makes is, do you let the wing back go and mark the winger, or go and mark the fullback? If you're brave enough, you let him go and mark the fullback and push right on and allow your wide centre-half to go into that channel. Trouble is that some of the centre-halves don't want to go in that channel, and that's where I think Terry Venables, when he played with England, put fullbacks in them wide centre-half areas, and it really worked for England at the time. So it's important to be able to get centre-halves out there.
Victorino there pushing forward for Mexico. But Paraguay hold firm. Mexico topping Group B, but of course Brazil, with their win now, have changed the complexion of the group quite markedly. Paraguay to face Brazil in their final match, Mexico to face Peru. Here's Vidrio. Use of the hand. Mexico still in with a decent chance of reaching the World Cup finals next year as well. Maybe 5th out of the 6 teams in the CONCACAF group, but they're only a point behind Honduras. 3 countries will go through. They have a bit of defending to do here against Paraguay, because Escobar has won Sergio Markarian's team a corner.
Yeah, nice positive run from Escobar there. Good to see him that far forward, overlapping, certainly bombing on past Silvio Garre or Alvarenga when they sort of rotate around in that position and getting Paraguay a corner.
Zassi, the fullback, coming forward to swing this one in towards goal. Well handled by the young Mexican goalkeeper Martinez. Perez had a decent game the other night against Brazil. Here's Alberto Rodriguez for Mexico. They've used the width on this right-hand side to good effect already in the opening stages. Vidrio, Mercado. Araspe just alongside him there. Victorino dropping off towards De Nigris. Time away by Cáceres.
After a very, very quick start, Mexico, I think Paraguay have come to terms with the system. They were a little bit more solid now, a little bit more difficult to break down. They're trying to half the pitch a bit, making the play a bit more predictable for Mexico and getting bodies behind the ball nice and solidly, and to make it more difficult for Mexico to break down after a very, very frantic sort of 5 minutes when they look like they may open up Paraguay at every opportunity.
Sorno partnering De Nigris up front for Mexico. Here's Rodriguez. Again, they've got Rodriguez in a lot of space on this near side. De Nigris on the ball now. That looked like a use of a hand, and right in front of the referee as well. I think he's going to spot that one.
Yeah, a bit of an old head there, tried to catch a referee on the blind side by controlling with his hand, but again, nice build-up play, just not getting enough width. I think it's very, very important for Mexico and Paraguay both to get down the sides of it, and if you're going to play against particularly for Paraguay, there is an area you can exploit behind the wing-backs.
This is Ferreira. That's a good solid run by him, but well tackled. Opened his campaign with the 2 goals against Peru. Of course, Montesinos is currently the tournament's top goal scorer with 3. At that time it was Marquez defending well.
Vital tackle there, excellent, manipulating the ball from Ferreira, but Marquez, recently moved to Monaco, showed all the skills that's going to make him probably one of the top defenders in the French league.
Again, one of the youngsters, Marquez, only 22. He's got a very bright future ahead. He'll find it tough to break into the French national team, though. That's a lovely ball played in by Rodriguez. Osorno battling for it here. Paraguay sticking to the task. Hierro steering it forward for Valdez. Being guarded by Garay. And here you see the chance.
Yeah, it's decent defending. It really is very, very good defending. Sarzi knows that he can't get the ball. He's got the ball to the feet and he can't get at it, Osorno. So what he does, just holds his ground. So it's good defending. As soon as he tries to turn and take the shot, he makes a nice strong tackle.
Marquez and Vidrio both forward for this free kick from Garcia Aspe. Mexico's best finish in Copa America was second place. They lost to Ecuador in the 1993 final to Argentina. They've come third twice as well. And at the moment they're dominating in terms of possession. Until, of course, Mercado gives it away. Garay making ground down the right. There's Victorino. The pitch is in good shape. It really suits attractive flowing football. Certainly better than the pitch we saw in Medellin, and also probably the one in Barranquilla as well.
Yeah, very much so. It's a much more lush surface. I think it being built southerly, maybe it just receives probably a bit more rain, and it looks a lot more lush. And I know that I think the one in Barranquilla, they imported the turf from America for it, so it didn't look like it settled down that well.
Of course, they've got these either painted or artificial centre circles at one or two of the venues, which look rather odd. Don't know quite why, but certainly makes it look a little bit different. Alvarenga, the Paraguay number 10, he's got a very cultured left foot on him. One of several players who plays his club football with Cerro Porteño, one of the strongest teams in Paraguay. A queue of Paraguay players lining up for this free kick. A bit of argy-bargy going on there, but the referee has given Mexico possession, but he wants it taken a few yards further back.
They've had a couple of free kicks now, Paraguay, and they're looking for that deep one. I think it's for Sanabria to make it up, to make that late run to the far post, and it's a decent tactic, but too lofted a ball by that time. It needs to be a bit flatter, otherwise you're going to get too many markers around you. Far too deep for Sanabria to do anything with it.
Well, you've seen some terrific matches already in this Copa America. Mexico having produced one of the shocks by beating Brazil. Paraguay, for their part, certainly one of the teams who are among the bookies' favourites to do well in this tournament.
And what they certainly showed Mexico was that when they went a goal up, they weren't unduly troubled by a great side like Brazil. So it just shows that they can be nice and solid and difficult to beat if they have to be. So, you know, they've got some defenders in. They've changed a lot of personnel tonight, but again, doesn't look to have upset the rhythm too much. They're going along, they're passing the ball nicely, don't look in too much trouble, and they probably look for, you know, the first nearly 20 minutes now, the more likely side to score.
Robles guiding it on for Paraguay. There might be a chance of a counter here for Mexico. Valdez using width this time, and then looking to provide an overlap. A great sense of urgency from Mexico until Garcia Aspe releases one.
Don't know quite what Garcia Aspe saw there, but whether he thought, I think Denigres was pulling out the far post, but Denigres had made a near post run, just a bit of lack of communication there.
Paraguay, of course, were the hosts 2 years ago. That's a good opportunity for Paraguay. Ferreira latching onto that through ball from Garay.
Yeah, and it was the first time they'd really committed the wing-back Valdez. He dived in, wonderful little run from Ferreira. Probably could do with a bit more pace on the ball, but it just shows he doesn't need any opportunity to take a shot.
And the goalkeeper, to his credit, just got a touch to that. Martinez getting his fingertips to the shot from Ferreira. And Alvarenga now, the left footer for Paraguay, with a chance to swing one in towards goal once more. Cáceres is up for it. Goalkeeper's come and missed it, but the whistle's already gone.
I have to say, some of the defensive decisions that have been made from goalkeepers at times have been very poor in this tournament, dealing with that high ball. You know, again, it's not, I mean, here you see a Ferreira chance, doesn't take any opportunity, knows where the goal is, just slides it wide of the post. But again, he came for a delivery there from Alvarenga, who put a fantastic ball in late in the game against Peru that I think Gonzalez Ferreira headed against the bar, and Garay tapped in the rebound. So he's got that quality, that the keeper's got to make positive decisions. If you can't get the ball, stay on your line.
Well, Mexico continuing to probe here against a very solid and stubborn Paraguayan defence.
I mean, you can see why. I think you mentioned it earlier, Steve, that they're looking to, you know, be difficult to break down teams, and it looks like they do rely on a little bit of the craft and a bit of the ability of Ferreira to make some sublime skill to create something. You know, they don't look like they'll be able to cut teams apart. No real gifted and flair players in midfield, although some technically very good players, but you wouldn't say, you know, ones that could really open up defences. So they really rely on, certainly, Ferreira to produce that bit of magic, and so far it's gone well for him in the tournament.
And I suppose this man, Garcia Aspe, is the man that Mexico look to, because he's got that sort of quality.
Yeah, he has, definitely. I mean, apart from the last ball, he really has shown a good ability to be able to deliver the balls, and obviously him and Borgetta certainly linked up well in the first game. He's taken a break tonight, and you know, hopefully Denigres and Osorno can benefit from Garcia Aspe's quality on the ball.
In some ways, the decision by Javier Aguirre to make so many changes. 8 in total tonight is a slightly strange one. It's all very admirable that everybody's getting a chance to shine, but in the meantime they often say if it's not broken, don't try and fix it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, it's strange to make a parallel with the Lions tour, but you think about a little bit of discontent from the midweek squad who never got a chance, but here the coach, you know, Aguirre, maybe he's building that team spirit for the World Cup campaign. He wants to give everyone an opportunity and everyone feel part of it. And certainly they've not let him down so far. They look nice and positive.
Well, certainly if Mexico were to go down, he'd probably face an absolute pasting from the home supporters, but it's working out for him okay so far. And Victorino is preparing to take this corner for Mexico. Useful looking volley back towards goal. But Tavarelli has shown that he's quite accomplished. As the first choice keeper these days, he had 3 shutouts in his first 4 matches, so it was an excellent start for him.
Yeah, just you know what really disappoints me about Tavarelli? He can't curl them 35-yard free kicks in. It really does disappoint me, just like the other one, Chilavert.
Yeah, Chilavert, well, he scores penalties as well, doesn't he, Chilavert?
I think he did. Didn't he score the winner for the French in the French Cup final?
Yeah, for Strasbourg, yeah. Saved a penalty from Ayala against Amiens, wasn't it?
Well, I think it'd been nice. It'd been pleased to serve a penalty from Ayala, especially with again linking up against a fellow South American.
And here's Robles, who was playing more on the right side of midfield for Paraguay against Peru, but he's playing more centrally tonight. Garay is the man who's been given a bit more license to go forward down that right-hand side. Sarsi's trying to search out Ferreira, the man who scored the 2 goals against Peru that inspired Paraguay onto that 3-3 draw. Garcia Aspe trying to help it on, but it's a little bit untidy at the moment. Garay tried to hoist one up as well. The referee has blown for an infringement. Free kick Mexico.
Yeah, again, it's been obviously a bit high feet here, and the referees don't certainly stand for any of that in this tournament, but they certainly do. Most of the teams allow certainly 1 or 2 players in the midfield area to free. I know Colombia with Restrepo and Ramirez, they're their 2 holding players, and they generally free everyone else in the team, and that's quite important, I think, if you're going to make some attacking inroads into these very, very strong defensive units, that you do allow midfield players to break beyond your front players and disturb defensive units.
Denigres challenging there. This is Garcia Aspe, so central to everything that Mexico do going forward. Mercado, back for Hierro. Of course, we don't have the problem that my colleague Iain Crocker had the other night with 2 men called Ramon Morales, both playing in the Mexican team at the same time. I have to say that was a difficult one. I managed to follow all of that.
I think you've overcome that, Steve. I've heard you. Very eloquently.
Well, we've got these 3 players called Rodriguez. I dread the fact that 2 of them might come on a little later. At the moment, we've just got the one of them, but we'll see how it develops.
I see the Peruvian team have 2, I think, two brothers in there.
And there's the Sotos and
yeah.
Jose, and then you got the manager and the son as well.
Both of them, I think. Peru and I think Paez, Coach Paez, and his son plays. Venezuela.
Don't half help, don't they?
Shame my dad was never a Premiership manager.
Free kick for Paraguay here. 25 minutes gone. Still no goals in Cali, this Group B match. And the goalkeeper electing to fist it away. A lot of European goalkeepers would try and probably catch those, but South American keepers do have a tendency to punch rather than catch at times.
Yeah, it's part of their nature, they punt, but you know, it's a disappointing punch for me. I think he has looked a little bit unsure tonight, Martinez, you know, under a little bit of pressure after, you know, obviously the previous keeper, Perez, keeping a clean sheet against Brazil. It was a nervous punch here. It didn't really clear his box either. Don't mind keeper's punch as long as you get distance on it. There's a chance.
Escobar getting forward, dangerous at the near post. The referees pull the play back here in favour of Mexico. Escobar coming in from the full-back area and driving one in, but you see the challenge from Vidrio. Well, earlier on, Brazil beating Peru by 2-0. Still goalless in the second Group B match tonight, Paraguay against Mexico. It's a free kick. Don't think there'll be any complaints about that. Sorno going down. Cáceres the culprit. See Raspe, the number 8, has 6 Mexican players to aim at. And the little flick over from Iain.
Yeah, great ball in. Again, it's whipped into a very dangerous area. Keeper doesn't know whether quite to come. I have to say, he does head it 6 yards. The keeper's actually stranded. I mean, Tavarelli's absolutely nowhere. He just gets a nick on. It puts Mexico in the 1-0 lead. And they do like that. It's almost a European type free kick. They sort of put a lot of balls, a lot of bodies in a certain area and whip it into that area and get some movement around it. But Tavarelli a little bit unsure of his position in there. I'm very, very pleased to see the ball fly over the bar from Iain.
Well, next up in the Copa America, Group C matches in Medellin with Uruguay, who are the 14 times winners of this tournament, against Costa Rica, both winners in the opening group matches. And then it'll be followed by Honduras against Bolivia, both of whom looking for their first points of the tournament. This is Escobar for Paraguay. They've reached the quarterfinals for the last 3 Copas in a row. They lost on penalties to Uruguay 2 years ago. Sarsi trying to find a way of getting the ball forward. Sanabria. This is Escobar. It can be very difficult to dispossess Paraguay, as they're showing right now. Iain with a little nudge, was it? Ferreira, I think, has been penalised.
Oh, he's got the foul then.
No, he's got the foul. He was looking at the referee as if to say, come on, ref, give us a free kick.
And he duly obliged. But again, he just showed how very, very effective. He gets the ball there, a little bit of a feint one way, lovely little turn. He's very, very bright and aware. I think if you can get bodies beyond him and disturb defenders and allow him to get turned and run at players, he really will be a threat. And it's for maybe Silvio Garay and maybe Alvarenga, probably Enciso, and also Robles to run beyond him. Otherwise, it's a very difficult job against that back 3. And they're strong, powerful defenders. He needs some help up there.
Well, bearing in mind what you were saying earlier, Iain, about the delivery for the third goal for Paraguay against Peru, I wonder whether Alvarenga might be the man here for Paraguay. Mexico with a 4-man wall. Martinez looking very alert. Different option instead, and Martinez had covered that one adequately enough, his body right behind the ball.
It was a nice strike, but never going to trouble the keeper. I have to say, I'd like to see Alvarenga whip one over the wall. Maybe haven't yet seen probably the quality of the free kicks we're used to. You know, South Americans, we're used to them bending the ball, particularly Roberto Carlos. But you know, a number of them have been excellent at taking free kicks. We haven't quite seen. It's not been a feature of this Copa so far, although you know, there's been plenty of excellent goals and good technique shown.
Bit of a surprise, really, because the balls tend to be a little bit lighter. Garcia Raspe trying to make use of that. He's certainly one to try from distance. But they do swing a lot in the air these days, don't they?
Certainly do, yeah.
There's the free kick from Isasi.
I think we've certainly seen, I think it was Montesinos with his first goal. I think the Chile in the first game. When he hit it, it moved sort of 10-15 yards in the air. It really was moving all over the place.
Victorino for Mexico. Of course, a number of players other than Jose Luis Chilavert missing for Paraguay. Ayala, Cardoso, Santa Cruz, Arce Gamara. Lots of very experienced players not playing in this tournament. So an opportunity again for some of the fringe players in Coach Markarian's squad to try and impose themselves, particularly when you bear in mind they are looking such a good bet to get through to Korea and Japan next summer.
Yeah, well, and I think, as you say, they're not the biggest country in the world, and sometimes you can't afford to be missing that sort of a number of players. I mean, I know that personally, Northern Ireland at the moment, they've missed a lot of their, senior players, Lennon, Lomas, and they can't afford to do it, and that's why they've struggled. And certainly, probably a similar vein that so far in the Copa for Paraguay. These players have been very, missing, and as a result, Paraguay's Copa America campaign hasn't really taken off the way a lot of people think it would.
Well, bearing in mind all these changes in the Mexican squad, they seem to still have a very good understanding. Obviously, that's down to the quality of training.
Very much so. I think that's the most important thing for a coach, is that, is to repeat them, make everyone know the position they're going to be in, and that's about hard work on the training ground. Sometimes it's not the most exciting thing, but you've got to go through your pattern of play so that when the players come in, they know exactly what's expected of them in certain positions and where to be when the ball's in certain areas. And it certainly looks like Aguirre's done that on the training field, because these players have just fitted into the system as they would have done at any other game.
Well, Mexico with a chance to apply a bit of pressure here on Paraguay. Rodriguez with the throw. Awkward one for the goalkeeper. Tavarelli happy to just flick it over and then bounces back. He's got a real spring in his stride.
Yes, whipped in ball. Very, very difficult one. He ends up turning face his own goal, and it's good, comfortable save, but very, very springy, as you say.
Well, typically, Vidrio makes the run to the back post and Marquez near post. Spectacularly cleared, though, by Paraguay. Valdez keeps the ball low for Mexico. Garay for Paraguay. Alvarenga being closed down by Mercado, and again the referee goes to his whistle, and a yellow card shown there to Mercado.
Yeah, I think it was a disappointing header from Marquez. I mean, under no pressure. Again, they sort of lumped out defence, Paraguay. Actually, no opportunity for Alvarenga to get on the ball. But Marquez headed it back down to him, and then Mercado made a very inauspicious challenge on him.
Reminded that a red card or 2 yellows would mean a suspension from the next match. None of the Mexican 11 on duty so far tonight have got a yellow card to their name, but 1 or 2 of the Paraguay squad will have to watch out. Safely gathered by Martinez.
I do love that technique that the South Americans keeper have when they kick the ball out. They don't kick like normal, European keepers. They get side on and volley it. And it's about technique, and it's a wonderful one for Martinez. He's hit a volley probably 40 yards straight to the feet of the forward. It really is very, very accurate. It's something that they really do well, and it's an attacking ploy a lot of time.
Here comes Marquez for Mexico. That was a nice intention from Valdez. He'd spotted the run of Garcia Raspe. They certainly have an eye for a telling through ball to Mexico. Yeah, Paraguay looking for Garay. Here's Alberto Rodriguez. Gets round Escobar. Promising for Mexico. 2 was just 1 too many.
You hear the reaction of the crowd there with the little nutmegs from Rodriguez there on Escobar, and they do love the flamboyant skills, and it's certainly part of their culture, and it is great to see, and it's actually what the fans want to see. So it's lovely to see them people with them little tricks and a bit of innovation in the game.
We always think of South American sides as being not only full of flair and charisma, but also very technically hot.
Yeah, and I think, as you were saying about surfaces, I think they're used to playing, and a lot of the kids grow up and playing on dusty pitches, maybe sandy beaches, and that they need to concentrate on their technique, and that's why it's so good, and that's what I believe. You cannot spend enough time with young players on technique.
Well, last week in training, the Paraguayans were training at one point in the training session without their boots on. I suppose technically, if they can do it without boots, with boots it must be even easier.
Maybe times are hard, Steve.
Well, I don't know.
No, but it's again, I think that what that's done is just for the feel, you know, and I think that, you know, boots are becoming better and better, and there's hardly any, you know, depth of leather. You really do feel the ball on your feet, and it's just another way of making sure that you've got that touch and technique, and it's a good idea as long as the surface is fine and you're never going to get any damage to your feet.
A lot of them play beach football as well, I suppose, but it's a quite different sort of ball game altogether, really. Looking for Rodriguez, he's too strong. Just over 7 minutes to half-time. 0-0 in this Group B match between Paraguay and Mexico. Brazil having beaten Peru earlier on this evening by 2-0. That puts them on 3 points, along with Mexico. Paraguay and Peru both on 1. Alvarenga, challenged by Garcia Raspe. Silvio Garay. Good play to wriggle away from Hierro initially, but too many green shirts around the Paraguayans there. Throwing it forward up towards Denigris. But he's not had too much joy against Sanabria and Cáceres.
That's a great interception there from Cáceres, you know, and I think I have to say, as the halves wore on, both defensive units have been on top. You know, they've really worked hard. Schué and Enciso for Paraguay, and Victorino and Mercado for Mexico have worked hard to be the defensive side of it.
Valdez cross, Denigris coming in. And Paraguay again untroubled from that cross. They've dealt with those very effectively. They've got some good height at the centre-back areas. But so far it's been a first half of few clear-cut chances. Schué just getting caught from behind by Osorno. One of those who play with the Libertad club. 5 of the squad of 22 from Libertad, 5 from Sporting Luqueño, 4 from Cerro Porteño. Only 3 of them play their club football abroad. And Schué alongside Enciso in the middle of the park there for Paraguay, 2 of the more experienced players, both in their early 30s. Schué, in fact, was born in Brazil. He's played in Brazil, Peru, Argentina. He's been all over the place.
I wonder if at some stage, maybe as the game drew on in the second half, maybe McCarran are thinking about bringing on Gonzalez, who made such an effect when he came on, give a physical presence. Looked a bit lumbering at times, but the ball did stick up there, and he really give him a foil. Would certainly really be a foil for Ferreira, who looks a very bright player to work off. He looks a bit isolated at the moment, and that's why I think particularly Paraguay haven't had the ability to create any chances.
Yeah, might also give them a little bit of extra height, different option going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, there's been times when they have been under a lot of pressure and they've had to play that long ball out of defence, and Ferreira's biggest strength is probably not holding the ball up, and if they can get it into Gonzalez, he can hold the ball, give them a platform for them to make their runs, like Alvarenga and Silvio Garay, to make runs off a platform of sticking the ball up front. So it may be an aspect that he can look at later in the game.
Here's Ferreira up against Hierro. Ferreira trying to force his way through it. Well, it just stuck between his feet at the crucial time. And Ferreira, having done so well to create the opening.
Yeah, well, it's all about Ferreira. I mean, he absolutely does ever so well. He bursts past 2 or 3 players, then does a wonderful little, looks like he feints to shoot, cuts inside, and it just gets under his feet at the vital moment, and he just can't get enough power on his left foot shot, and it just trickles easily into Martinez's hands.
Paraguay and Mexico were both in the same Copa group back in 1995. Paraguay finishing just ahead of Mexico. The goalkeeper taking charge of the situation. There was a little bit of hesitation on the part of the defender, but he knew that his goalkeeper was coming. Marquez was the man at the back for Mexico. Ciso. He certainly likes to bomb down that right flank. We've seen that a lot with the South American teams. The fullbacks quite often get forward. They love their attacking football, don't they?
Yeah, they do indeed. And you know, I have to say the first half hasn't been blessed with good attacking football. And I think from Paraguay's point of view, they've really got to get bodies beyond the wing backs and try and they've got to have some overlaps. Escobar and Sazi. They've got to try and disturb the wing backs. Maybe it's for the wide players, you know, to move inside. Silvio Garre and Robles to run inside, to bring the wing backs inside, to allow the full-backs, Sazi and Escobar, to overlap. And that's going to help them if they get width further up the pitch. At the moment, their width's too deep, and they're not disturbing any of the defensive unit or the defensive back three of Mexico.
Paraguay changing the direction of the attack, and Escobar is the man invited to come forward. Osorno, the Mexican who blocked his path. Although Osorno seemed to get his ankles tapped from behind there. Clever play. But, Marquez is so good at reading the potential danger in a situation. It's why he has become one of the most watched players in French football right now. Marquez is still forward here. Denigris going to wriggle away from Garay.
Yeah, wonderful play. I mean, this is what you're talking about now. You talk about the, you know, continental centre-half, being able to come out with the ball like that, and finishes up with a lovely outside of his boot pass, and it's their comfort and their ability to read defensive situations, but not just do that, not then clear your lines, but have the quality to come out and then be creative. Makes such a difference. I think Rio Ferdinand, our lead, has certainly become part of that, and it's a little bit of a... Oh.
Well, tempers are starting to fray here, and look at this, how many players have we got involved here? Practically both teams. The goalkeeper, Martinez, has come forward, so too Tavarelli, to try and help dissipate the problem.
I think Marquez had a little kick out at Escobar there, and I think that's what's sort of stoked the situation up.
Well, they're even coming off the bench here to try and pull the players away. Let's see if we can have another look at that. And Ciso is the Paraguayan number 16, but there was a little incident there. Struwe, the number 6. Marquez, the Mexican number 4, and there seemed to be some sort of a hand perhaps in the face of Struwe. Then Escobar comes charging in, and then it's a free-for-all.
I think that's that Latino temperament there.
Well, they're all keen to do well. It's a great opportunity for them to showcase their abilities. And a difficult one for our referee from Ecuador to deal with.
I think they, you know, in South America, tremendous store set by winning the Copa America. So you know, there's big pride playing for, and you can see that they're all pumped up. And certainly Escobar comes from nowhere and shoves it. I think he gets a nasty knock in the face of one of his own players, and as a result, Marquez has a little kick out at him.
Well, peace has been restored. Garcia Aspe floats one forward. This is Osorno. Keeps possession well. Mercado. Valdez available wide now. 1 minute of time to be added at the end of the first half. Can Mexico finish the half with a flourish? Garcia Aspe trying to bustle through.
Yeah, I think for Mexico the second half, they'll be looking to get Garcia Aspe more on the ball. You know, certainly involve him further up the pitch, and certainly we need a little bit more from Osorno and Denigris, who've started. Denigris certainly started brightly and looked very physical, but they've certainly been looked after by Paraguay defence.
Well, not too many chances in the first half. A flare-up of two sides who are both anxious to do well in the tournament towards the end of the contest. At half-time in Cali, it's 0-0.
Al comienzo de la segunda parte desde el estadio Pascual Guerrero, desde el Olímpico Pascual Guerrero de Cali, en Colombia, con esta segunda jornada del Grupo B. México 0, Paraguay 0. Estaremos con todos ustedes al comienzo de la segunda parte. Hasta ahora.
Welcome back to this Group B match in Cali. Paraguay and Mexico goalless at half-time, but both teams making changes at the interval. For Mexico, on comes number 20, Ramon Morales, who was playing on the left side of midfield for them against Brazil the other night. And Paraguay also making some changes. They brought on Amarilla, the number 4, and also Miguel Cáceres, their number 9, who's a striker.
Yes, I think certainly Morales will just replace Valdez. I think he's replacing Valdez there, so that'll be like for like. Cáceres and Amarilla, I'll be interested to see who's exactly gone off, but obviously just freshening the pack a little bit. I mean, there's a number of games in a short time, and maybe coach Mkhitaryan thinks he needs a bit of fresh legs about.
Well, referee just looking across to the sideline. Slight delay in the resumption of the second half here, but the changes have been made as both teams try and forge a way through to earn maximum points. With Brazil having beaten Peru earlier on today, well, I wonder on whom the greatest pressure lies, Paraguay or Mexico. Which of them needs to win this one more now?
It's very, very difficult to say. I would think Paraguay need to win this more. I mean, Mexico have got Peru to play, and Paraguay's last game against Brazil, which they certainly won't want to do. So I think the emphasis on Paraguay probably to take the game to Mexico a little bit more.
Well, immediately Ramon Morales, the number 20 for Mexico, has slotted in down that left-hand side. Mexico in the green shirts and white shorts, Paraguay in their traditional strip of red and white stripes and blue shorts, kicking from left to right in this second half. Two teams playing two different tactical solutions to the contest. Paraguay with a back 4, Mexico playing with 3 at the back.
Yeah, and they've cancelled each other out. It's unusual. Normally you'd get probably Mexico being exposed down the flanks, but the wing-backs, Valdez and say Rodriguez, have done a good defensive job, and probably Paraguay didn't commit enough bodies up forward to disturb that. Great turn there.
Well, Miguel Cáceres, the new man on for Paraguay, whipping one in from the right-hand side, and immediately Mexico under pressure in the opening stages of the second half.
We did mention maybe they need a bit of physical presence. He does look like that big, powerful fella, and that will maybe help Ferreira to get more of a springboard.
Miguel Cáceres plays his football in Spain with Levante, and Sorno just tumbling there at a crucial moment. And there have been only a few chances in that first half, but technically again we've seen that these players very adaptable and very good in control of the ball.
Yeah, they are. Their techniques are second to none, really. Is very, very good, and he's a bit of a change from the usual, certainly Cáceres. He looks a powerful boy, and certainly unsettling the Mexican defence early on, and I think the Mexican back 3 of Vidrio, Marquez and Hierro, they won't be as comfortable this half, that's for sure.
Escobar at the back for Paraguay. Sarsi, the full-back. Goes on to get an extra 15 yards further forward or so. Paraguay well on course to qualify for the World Cup finals next summer, second behind Argentina in the South American group. 4 will qualify automatically. The 5th place team, should they struggle in their remaining matches, they even get a playoff against the team from Oceania, so Paraguay should certainly be there, Iain.
Yeah, well, it's interesting just watching it there. It looks like they've adjusted their system, Paraguay. They've gone to a 3 as well. Escobar sliding as long, one of the centre-halves along Sanabria and Cáceres there, so looks like Escobar's dropped in to play the right sides of the 3 centre-halves, so it's going to be, they're going to match shape for shape, and maybe that's a good solution for Coach Mkhitaryan if he wants to get back in the game.
The other thing, Amarilla, the number 4 for Paraguay, he came on for Canizo the other day, and again he's a natural left-sided player for Paraguay, so it does give them 1 or 2 other options in this second half.
Yeah, I think Silvio Garay's made way for Amarilla. There's just confirmation there of the change that Mexico made. Morales coming on for Valdez.
Maria, the substitute, with a yellow card. Marquez, Vidrio, Denigris up there. Well, they do have plenty of height for those set pieces, and when the two centre-backs come forward, Denigris, Vidrio and Marquez between them, they do pose quite a threat.
Yeah, and it for the three centre-backs, a little bit disappointed the fact they didn't get ahead on that. I think that was Vidrio just come up and got, again, a bit of a glancing header on it, and it was always a little bit difficult to direct it on target. But set pieces, Mexico have been quite direct. They've not been too extravagant with them. They've not overdone things. They've put the ball in the box, in the mixer, as they call it, and it's given the Paraguayans the odd bit of difficulty, but they've coped not too bad with it. They're a big enough side themselves.
Away by Marquez for Mexico. Towards Denigris, Osorno will chase it. This is Cáceres. That's Juan Cáceres, the Paraguayan captain, the number 3. Ramon Morales. He's for Guadalajara in Mexico. Working his way outside Isasi. Good positive running from the newcomer. This is Osorno. Well, again, another chance for Mexico to get the centre-backs up for this one. Osorno and Ramon Morales between them. Paraguay concede a corner.
Yeah, Sarzi just going to operate as a right wing back, and as you said, Amarilla's just going to drop to that left wing back role with Escobar as a right centre half, Sanibria and Casares playing the other two positions. So, you know, it's not a problem for them. They certainly, with Amarilla, got a natural left sider. And there's another change to be made.
And this time for Mexico, the number 11, Osorno coming off, and Juan Rodriguez is the player coming on. We've got 2 Cáceres in the Paraguayan team and 2 Rodriguez now in the Mexican team.
I'll leave that to you to sort it out.
Victorino trying to work something there, but again, Paraguay have defended pretty well. They've created the best chances. Ferreira had the best chances of the match. Here's Isasi. He certainly has the ability to produce some good crosses from that right-hand side as well. Alvarenga, good turn, aware of the presence there of Amarilla down the flank. Miguel Cáceres challenging against Vidrio. This is Victorino for Mexico. And again, nearly. Good reading of the play by Paraguay. Really a very useful through ball for Ferreira as well. Here's the Mexican substitute pulling one back. Away by Sanabria. It's broken kindly for Mexico. The Negris waiting in the middle. Victorino. And away by Escobar. Victorino again. Mexico applying plenty of pressure here. The footed shot from the substitute. Vidrio trying to thread it through the eye of the needle, really, down that right-hand side, and they've kept the pressure on them by winning themselves another throw here.
Nice bit of interpassing there, and Victorino very much to the fore. Initially got a good ball into the box. Good couple of defensive headers, I think. It's from Sanabria.
Isasi just keeping that ball in play. Has he? No, in fact, it's just gone out. Denigris needs support, trying to dig it out. Victorino, the man with the shot.
Yeah, a bit better support play there, starting to get some midfield runners beyond and supporting the front men. Good hold-up play with Denigris. Not the best layoff though, and he has to dig out half a scuff shot from Victorino. But a little layoff there from Denigris would have put him in a good shooting position for Victorino, should I say.
Paraguay, twice winners of the Copa America. 1979 the last time. Well, that had to go all the way back to the 1950s, 1953, so success for them is long overdue. They're, of course, part of the South American Football Federation, known as CONMEBOL, but Mexico invited guests.
Looks like Silvio Garay and Robles were the two to make way for Paraguay. Robles going off and Silvio Garay and been, as I was saying, replaced, and they've just dropped Alvarenga a little bit deeper and allowed the big Caceres to play up front with Ferreira.
Mexico playing it long towards Denigris here. And that's Escobar's throw. Challenge right in front of the referee by Mercado. And Paraguay with a free kick. Of course, they didn't lose in the group stages of France '98. They only got knocked out in the round of 16 against France, the eventual winners, when Laurent Blanc came up with that golden goal.
Yeah, indeed. It just shows you that, you know, they can compete at that level. And again, I think there's been some technically superb football. And also the addition of Rodriguez has allowed this man, Victorino, to come and join Denigris up front. And that's the difference for Mexico. They've brought on Rodriguez, more defensive. He sat in midfield, allowed Garcia Aspe and certainly Victorino to play a much more forward-looking role.
Well, Victorino's only appearance was a sub in a World Cup qualifier against Costa Rica. He's only 22, and again, he's one of the bright young prospects in this Mexican squad. There he is, the number 10, alongside Denigris, the number 14 for Mexico. A shot from Marquez. Paraguayan wall doing its job. What about the referee tonight? What's your impression of man in the middle from Ecuador?
Well, I think he's done well. We haven't noticed him, so not done too bad a job. We've waved the odd yellow card, but you know, he's done well. He hasn't fallen into too many of the dives, and he's been nice and sensible. And again, I think we think there's a sign of a good referee when you don't notice him, and he's been nice and quiet, as has the game, to be fair. Yeah,
the incident just before half-time, when all the players got rather overheated, that seems to have cooled down. And here's Isasi for Paraguay. So often the outlet for them down the flank, and that's well handled by Martinez.
Yeah, excellent. You know, you love the keepers to do that. I mean, he's come out fully, what, 12 yards to catch the ball. That makes a hell of a difference to defenders, that they know their keeper are going to come and collect it.
As we mentioned, France '98, a few years ago, the Paraguayan national team was largely comprised of home-based players, but since that tournament, a number of the squad have earned some lucrative moves abroad. And I'm sure that with all the scouts watching this tournament over the next couple of weeks or so, these players who have the chance to impress across the world, these games all being beamed worldwide, the talent spotters will be out in force.
What a ball that from Sanabria there. I mean, fully 70 yards, dropping it right over the shoulder of the wing-back onto the rampaging Rodriguez. Fantastic. Oh, it's actually Isasi. Fantastic run and fantastic ball from Sanabria.
Rafael Marquez has been one of the most outstanding players on the night. The central defender from Monaco in France.
It's a good point you make, Steve, about, you know, the scouts, because, you know, most certainly most Premiership and certainly top First Division clubs now have full-time European and continental scouts, and they do scout, and you see these players turn up, and I think lots of players are signed and you don't even hear them. They come and they're excellent additions to the squad.
Well, Morales swinging one in from the left-hand side there. Garcia Aspe unable to win it back. Escobar hoisting it on. Sassi trying to keep it in. It's already out.
Yeah, and I think it's nice and brave from Coach Iain of Paraguay. He obviously felt the system wasn't working. They weren't getting enough bodies forward, and he felt the Mexican system was playing that 3-5-2, although it's very rarely that. It's more like 3-1-4-2. He felt it was stopping them playing fluid, attractive football, and he's changed it. And good luck to him. At the moment, it doesn't seem to be freeing them anymore. It still looks like Mexico probing and pushing more.
Space still a little bit tight, but Juan Rodriguez setting things underway here for Mexico. Denigris! Well, that probably as close as Mexico have come. This tall, lanky striker, the 23-year-old, who hasn't scored an international goal since March. Well, he wasn't far away then. Oh,
it's a wonderful ball in for Victorino, and he does ever so well. He gets up early, doesn't allow Escobar to get off the ground, and he's very, very unfortunate. He feels he should have scored, but it's a great leap, and he's a little bit unfortunate not to find his first international goal.
Paraguay this time with a chance to break. Ferreira and Miguel Cáceres, of course, now an out-and-out strike pair. Perhaps again slightly different to the first half when, well, I suppose Alvarenga was pushed up furthest to support Ferreira, but two out-and-out strikers now. It's Garcia Aspe plays it short. Victorino strike!
Well, the change in the system for Mexico certainly worked, bringing Rodriguez on, and it's allowed Garcia Aspe and Victorino certainly really come to the fore. Wonderful shot there, just drifting wide of the post, but they really are playing almost like Sergio Garcia and Victorino as two attacking midfield players behind Denigris.
Well, you sense that there's greater urgency in these two sides to get an opening goal now as well. They're starting to carve out one or two more chances, chances being taken by players from distance as well.
I think, it's obviously not as hot here in Cali, but certainly as the game goes on, there's going to be more errors, and there's a classic example there. But this, look at him climb, getting up early. Always a good tip for big centre forwards. Don't wait late. Get up early, and you can take a ride. It stops the other centre half getting up and getting a clearing header, and he really does get up well. And I think if you can get him serviced in English, we did feel that he was a threat physically, and he hasn't had enough service to thrive upon, but he obviously likes that cross balls and get a bit more delivery from wide areas, and he could cause the Paraguayan defensive three now a real problem.
Did you think that Escobar was caught a little bit cold then?
Yeah, I thought he was. You're always talking about defenders having bad body shape. He's very, very square. He doesn't know that Denigris is behind him, and as a result, when he goes to jump for the ball, it's too late. Denigris is already up. So, yes, again, you want defenders to know where their men are and where the ball is, but let's not take away from the leap from Denigris.
Victorino trying to curl one in towards Denigris. Mexico suddenly with Denigris and Victorino creating two notable chances. Juan Cáceres takes a short one here for Paraguay. Towards Miguel Cáceres. Now Garcia Aspe for Mexico. Mercado. He's very much the man who just sits in front of the back three and just controls things from there, allowing Garcia Aspe to get forward just to his left, and possibly Juan Rodriguez to his right. Marquez with a good commanding header. Escobar finds Amarilla for Paraguay. Certainly after all the changes that Mexico made at the start of this evening, with 8 in total from the game against Brazil, well, they've played very well as a unit. Looks as if they could be the rival of Mr. Borghetti, who scored that winning goal against Brazil. He's on the sidelines there, ready and waiting to come on here for Mexico.
Yeah, and I think we're pleased to see him. He's certainly made a real impact. He really has made an impact since he's been playing, and I think he's just come on as a straight replacement for Denigris.
Well, Borghetti replacing Denigris. There are one or two whistles around the ground here. I think they recognise that Denigris has made a useful contribution, but Borghetti is a man in form. He's scored a couple of very important goals, not just the one against Brazil.
No, also the one against the vital one against the USA, you know, and that was no bad result at all, because they were really looking like getting a run away at the top of the World Cup qualifying group.
Borghetti the target, just too strong for him. And the linesman indicating the ball has gone out, and that's a goal kick.
I think Borghetti's one of them. You're talking about foreign scouts looking at him and maybe looking to make the move. He may be the one that, you know, the one they're looking at. He looks mobile, looks technically very adept and knows where the goal is.
Well, he's a player who's come up trumps for coach Aguirre. It looks as if the Paraguayan number 9, Miguel Cáceres, is in a fair amount of discomfort there. Sometimes it's hard to tell how genuine this is, but immediately it gives the players to get involved, and lots of verbals being exchanged here.
I think it's Escobar right in the heart there again. He thinks there was a stamp there. I don't think there was. I think he just fell on him and sat on him. I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with Cáceres either. I mean, he's a big lad, but he's rolling around like he's been shot there.
Well, again, the officials just calming the situation. Let's just take another look at this. There's Cáceres. Oh, and there you see the right boot coming in.
Well, they were right about the stamping. Definitely was a stamp. I mean, if the referee had seen that, it's a clear sending off.
Well, has he? The referee looks as if he's going to his notebook. Now, Miguel Cáceres there against the arrow. You can see that Cáceres caught the ankle there of Hierro, who was in pain as he fell backward, but then look at the right boot come down.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is a little bit late, Cáceres, catching Hierro on the ankle, but there's no excuse for that, and he's a very lucky man to get away with that. One's a genuine attempt for the ball, the other's just a malicious, violent act.
Hierro has escaped. And we saw with Venezuela last night how one or two decisions caused them dear. Ultimately, you wonder whether that may have a bearing on this contest. Hierro there, well, we reckon should probably have been red carded for that stamping.
Well, I wonder, you know, again we're talking about, I know with the bookings and bits and pieces, talking about a disciplinary panel sitting, but I don't know whether there's video evidence in use in this tournament, but certainly if they see that, then there could be some sort of sanction for Hierro.
Up towards Hierro and Miguel Cáceres once more. This is Garcia Aspe for Mexico. Rodriguez to his left. Borghetti just shields it enough for Victorino. Support to his right, Borghetti through the middle. Manages to keep it in play, does he? The linesman says no, it's a goal kick.
I think Victorino made the wrong choice there, he really did. I think he played a straight ball through for Borghetti to run onto, but Rodriguez was bombing down the outside, and that would have been the more sensible ball for me.
The game seems to be opening up in this second half. Quarter of the game to go, no goals, but plenty of ability out there, and plenty of people capable of scoring a goal.
Yeah, and I think the addition of Rodriguez there in defensive positions has really freed Victorino up. I mean, he's absolutely got no defensive responsibilities anymore, just trying to get back behind the ball as quick as he can. I don't think that ball goes out.
Doesn't, does it? Well, it was, I mentioned the Venezuela game last night, which you saw, Ian, and of course there were a couple of offsides given there when goals could well have been given.
A couple of non-offsides, definitely, but you know, they'll look back on that today and be very, very disappointed. I think Coach Pires will be absolutely devastated with the officials' decisions last night, but it doesn't go for you, it doesn't go for you.
Sarsi keeping Martinez under pressure.
I think it's a mismatch there.
A little personal duel between them, little and large, isn't it? Yellow card for the Paraguayan fullback.
Well, McCarron will be happy about that. Coach McCarron won't be happy about that booking. There's absolutely no need for that, and that could cost him later on in the tournament. It's an unnecessary booking. He's not done it making a tackle. you know, to push the keeper and try and delay time is absolutely wasting a booking.
Well, by my reckoning, that's his second yellow card of the tournament, so he will miss the next match. As you say, that sort of thing is quite unnecessary. It drives coaches mad. Javier Aguirre is clearly quite animated. The Mexicans came third in the Copa 2 years ago, and they lost to Brazil in the semis, but you sense this year the way that he started as their new coach. They do have the potential here. Certainly the squad of players that he's shown to the rest of the world through this tournament in the opening 2 matches suggests that they have a fair amount of ability in some depth.
Yeah, let's not discount the defensive work Coach Aguirre has done. He's played against Brazil, clean sheet. They haven't given up a chance tonight against Paraguay, and they got 3 goals against Peru. So, you know, he's obviously really organising. You know, that they believe in what they're doing. They believe in the system they're playing, and he should take a lot of credit for that. But you know, it's going to be very, very important that they maybe get something out of this game and then go into the Peru game looking, if they win that could win the group for them.
Well, it was a great ball on by Miguel Cáceres to try and pick out Isasi. Just ran away from the defender.
I think Isasi there, you're talking about him, he'll be disappointed. He misses the game against Brazil. You know, okay, they do, but it's not so many times in your career you get to play against the greats like Brazil, and especially when it could be for maybe qualifying for the quarterfinals of the Copa America.
Well, of course, the 2 final matches will have a big bearing on what goes on, not just for the top 2, but of course it's possible that Brazil, Paraguay and Mexico could all qualify.
Yeah, I think the other teams in the other groups won't want to play the 3rd place team in this group, because I think that, you know, this is probably the closest of all the groups in the fact it's a difficult group to judge, and the 3rd place team could be very, very useful indeed.
Mexico with some defending to do here, knocked up towards Miguel Cáceres, but Martinez.
Yeah, he's grown into his game, Martinez. Again, good starting position. Really does nullify the attack because of the starting position he takes up. Comes and collects a lovely, comfortable catch.
Juan Rodriguez with Alberto Rodriguez to his right. This is Borghetti, scorer of that winning goal against Brazil. Victorino. Borghetti just to the left, and some space for Garcia Aspe here. Ramon Morales. Borghetti waiting in the middle, the cross too strong. Disappointing end to a very promising build-up.
I've seen a lot of that. I wonder, you know, it's just with the rarefied atmosphere a little bit here, and maybe the ball's a little bit lighter or a newer ball they use. It really does seem to a lot of deep crosses, and maybe that's due to maybe one thing, bad technique, but you know, with so many players doing it, you wonder whether the ball's flying a little bit longer and a little bit harder.
Cali is Colombia's 2nd largest city. About 2 million people live in Cali, and around 45,000 of the locals or supporters of Paraguay and Mexico have made their way into the stadium tonight. Another big crowd. Ramon Morales for Mexico. And that's good pace from the wing-back for Mexico, and a dangerous cross as well. This time it's Tabarelli who's being kept busy in the Paraguay goal.
Yeah, it's good positive play. Do love to see more wingers or wing-backs go on the outside of people. Again, he's got a lovely left foot. He's delivered 2 nice balls in, and then that one excellently gathered by Tabarelli. But what I will say is, he's going in. There's not enough bodies committing in the box, and you know, there's 1 body in there. It's not enough, really. You know, when you're going in wide areas, you've got to get midfield players. You've got to get Victorino in there. Borghetti, look, he's there. He's the main centre forward. He's on the outside the box. He's got to be breaking the neck to get on the end of that.
And I'll tell you what, Ian, when that ball was initially won back by Mexico, it was Borghetti combining with the wing-back Ramon Morales to set up the move, but Borghetti, of course, because he was back almost on the halfway line, they just didn't have anybody in the middle.
No, exactly, and I think if you're going to have one of your forwards drop off, it's vitally important. We mentioned it, your midfield, certainly your central midfield players run beyond.
Anybody's game to win.
Certainly is. So some 17 minutes ago. It's going to be an anxious 17 minutes. I think Paraguay have got to push for it a little bit more. Certainly Mexico will be probably happy with the draw with Peru to play.
Mentioned earlier about Paraguay's reputation as being a bit of a defensive side. I mean, They do contain extremely well, but you just felt that perhaps in the first half Ferreira needed a little bit more support from the midfield players. Hence the arrival of Miguel Cáceres in the second half.
Well, certainly Ferreira looks the one forward on the pitch. You haven't seen quite enough of Borghetti tonight, but he looked very exciting. But Ferreira looks the one forward on the pitch who looks like he can create something out of nothing.
Well, Paraguay onside here. Isasi with the cross. It's a good one. And well, there was a foul in the process there. Alberto Rodriguez was just given a little nudge.
Well, it's good play from Rodriguez. You want your wing backs to tuck in when the ball's on the opposite side, and he's there. And big Cáceres has to make a foul, but you know, it's an important job there because Marquez is a little bit out of position.
On Rodriguez. Mexico having used all three substitutes. Victorino loves to just drop off from that front position, but he's been given license to get forward deliberately by the coach. Marquez again with a good solid tackle on Miguel Cáceres.
An outstanding talent he looks, Marquez. Pace, composure, excellent reading of the ball, and no mean tackler really is. He looks the class act in that defensive three.
Well, again, he's 22, so I'm sure there'll be coaches out there thinking that the best is even yet to come from him.
Certainly.
The timing on that, look at that, perfect.
Brilliant. And then gets up and he's nice constructive. He's certainly got a constructive side to his game.
Paraguay, I think, are going to make a third substitution in just a sec, but
it's probably another Cáceres just to confuse you, Steve.
Fortunately, they don't have one. Here we go. Well, Struwe, the man being replaced, and it's Julio Gonzalez who's coming on, one of the players who plays with Guarani. And this is another positive move. This is the man who came on in the game the other night against Peru. And you were talking about him earlier, Iain. Again, he does offer, I suppose, like Miguel Cáceres, they're putting plenty of height forward. They're putting plenty of strikers up now. Yeah, they certainly are. There's the ball straight to him. And now I think it may be Ferreira will drop off now in the hole. We've got the two big boys, Cáceres and Gonzalez up front now, and it'll be Ferreira who drop off into that little hole behind the front two, and that may give the defensive three of Mexico a real problem. It may be that Coach Aguirre may need someone to pick up Ferreira because he is a handful. There's just one or two little incidents with arms flailing that have aggravated the players on opposite sides here. The score in Cali still 0-0, but of course the next matches up and coming in Copa America come from Group C, with Uruguay against Costa Rica, both winners in their opening group matches, and Uruguay along with Argentina 14 times winners. And then following that it's Honduras against Bolivia, with those two both looking to get their campaigns off with some points finally. Yeah, and one would think the winner of that Group C will come from that Uruguay-Costa Rica game. But that's certainly what's happened. Ferreira's dropped in that little hole and allowed Cáceres and Gonzalez to may have played more forward. And it's a tempting ball forward there for Mexico, but Paraguay, as they've done so often, have managed to shut the door. Garcia Aspe, Borghetti waiting in the middle. Ramon Morales just losing control. And the game could certainly open up here in the last, 13-14 minutes, you know, because they've got Alvarenga, they've got Ferreira, they've got Cáceres, they've got Gonzalez, they've got a lot of forward players, and they'll be committing themselves beyond the front men and in attacking positions, and that may lead them to be exposed. And certainly Mexico could be a side with the passing in the team, you know, Garcia Aspe to open them up. Well, Mercado sets Mexico underway. Garcia Aspe leaving it for Ramon Morales. And a free kick won by Garcia Aspe, much to the consternation of the Paraguayans. You see Garcia Raspe in the challenge there from Enciso. Borghetti chasing that one for Mexico. Of course, 1 goal for Mexico now, and it could guarantee their qualification.
One would think that would nearly be the curtain drawing down on Paraguay's Copa America, with having to play Brazil and them coming into certainly better form, you know, with their 2-0 win earlier tonight.
Brazil at the moment have been a little bit inconsistent, to say the least. Certainly that goal from Danielson, the second of their goals against Peru tonight, well, that was quite wonderful. But
you were saying you've scored a few of them for the commentators 11 in there, Stephen.
I should be so lucky. That's more your territory. Paraguay here with a good opportunity to put Mexico under pressure. Delivery just didn't have enough legs on it, but awkward bounce as well for Alvarenga.
So it is my pet hate with fantastic technical ability like Alvarenga's got. He must miss the first man out. And here's an opportunity for Morales again.
Well, Raul Morales missed the first man, and now he's got a chance to put a dangerous cross in. The goalkeeper, with one hand to it, did well, really.
Done very well, but very, very fortunate to see it not fall to a Mexican, and with the opportunity to tap that in. But Morales has really come to the fore. Wonderful delivery with that left foot. Again, what I'm talking about, missing out that front man, and I think he does really well here, Tavarelli. Excellent palm, and certainly.
But it's all about the quality of the delivery, isn't it? I mean, it had pace, and it had lots of curl on it as well.
I think when you can, any time when you can get defenders facing their own goal, you've done the job. As long as you don't get to get it too close to the keeper. You want defenders making where they don't want to clear the ball, they're not sure where they can kick it into their own net, and you know, they talk about that corridor of uncertainty. I like that. I like to be called the corridor of defenders facing their own goal, because that really does make them not know also where the forward is.
Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, though.
No, definitely. In fact, it's a lot less certain.
Well, Mexico here pushing forward to try and get what could be a priceless winner that could send them into the quarterfinals of the Copa America. They won't be happy when a ball forward like that runs out of play and gives Paraguay the chance to rebuild from the back, with Amarilla taking the throw. Controlled by Marquez. The layoff by Borghetti. Victorino has the time to turn and face goal. Rodriguez. And good challenge coming in from Amarilla.
We've seen there 4 or 5 bodies committed, though, into the box there for Mexico. They're certainly trying to push the game forward a little bit.
Victorino's cross, Borghetti the target. It would seem as if Mexico are finishing the more strongly here. Raul Morales, 2 in his way, finds Garcia Raspe. Out by Escobar, only as far as Garcia Raspe. Borghetti with his hand up, wants it. One touch to control it.
Well, didn't we see almost an identical goal against Peru like that the other day? You know, he thought he was going to head the ball, he took it on his chest and finished against Peru. Here it just runs out a little bit of territory. It's a bit unfortunate, but he is very composed in the box. He certainly knows how to make a yard of space for himself, Borghetti.
He almost just pulled slightly back off the defender to give Garcia Raspe the little bit of extra space he needed to work the cross there. That one is not such a good delivery. Well retrieved by Mercado. Juan Cáceres for a Mexico throw.
Yeah, excellent work there from Mercado. Maybe he'll find it harder now. You know, he's done a great defensive job. I think Coach Aguirre he'll be feeling a little bit more confident in the last few minutes. He certainly doesn't look like they're going to concede a goal, but you know, they've not quite done enough in that defensive third of Paraguay to really open them up. So hopefully something will give in this last 6 or 7 minutes.
Paraguay's game against Peru had plenty of excitement at the end of that particular duel. What about this one? This is Vidrio, the centre-back. Alberto Rodriguez. That's lovely play by the wing-back in towards Borghetti, cut out by Paraguay. Forcing the play now, Mexico. Juan Rodriguez, Vidrio still up there. This is Alberto Rodriguez for Juan Rodriguez. Victorino now, beautiful play, fantastic stuff. And it just needed the finish from the captain, Garcia Raspe, for what was quite a glorious build-up.
Oh, fantastic football. I mean, would have been the goal of the tournament. Wonderful back heel from Victorino. And it would have been fitting for Garcia Raspe to mark his return to the Mexican side with a goal. Great play from Rodriguez initially, really was. But again, when he delivered the ball, he didn't miss that first man out. And you know, if you can do that, you get opportunities. But it's a wonderful play from Victorino, who's played really well second half, been nice and bright. It's been a lot more positive the second half for me. And again, it's Mexico looking more likely, and they're starting to finishing the game as they started it, and looking the more likely and looking a lot more hungry.
Tell you what, we were talking about Paraguay playing with the back four and the problems they caused Peru in those full-back areas. Now they've changed their system. Mexico are the team that are getting some joy in those full-back areas against Paraguay now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Rodriguez is causing them an awful lot of problems, and it's Amarilla, really. You know, he's come on, he should be doing that job certainly better than he has been. They're 1 for 1 now, because you're shape for shape, and Amarilla should be taking Rodriguez, but Rodriguez has certainly been to the fore, and Morales has certainly got the better of Asasi.
And it is Asasi who takes this corner kick for Paraguay. It's a good one. And the header at the near post, I think it was Sanabria.
Good whipped in, that pacey delivery from Asasi. Really well attacked by Sanabria. He's very unlucky, I tell you. He just gets a little bit less on that. He really does attack it well.
It's all about just getting in front of the fullback, isn't it? Getting in front of the defender when you're coming in for corners like that.
Certainly is, and he attacked it ever so well. And I think when you have players with this technical ability, you can say to defenders and attackers, just make a run to an area, let him put the ball in the area. And as you get higher up in football, it's vitally important that you have that sort of quality delivery.
Goalkeeper takes control. He needed to. Juan Cáceres with a little slip. It's presented the ball back to Mexico, and off they go again with Garcia Raspe. Juan Rodriguez just to his right. He elects to go for goal himself. This is Ramon Morales. Borghetti with his hand up inside the penalty box. Again trying to use the width well here, Mexico. Morales against Asasi. He's turned his man inside out, and all he needed was someone coming in on the back post.
Well, that's where Rodriguez should be. You know, Rodriguez should be busting a gut to get in that back post. Wonderful wing play from Morales. A chance here.
Victorino trying to force his way through. That's a corner.
I think the game's here for Mexico's taking. I really do. I think they've got the ability. You know, they had a quiet period for the first 20 minutes of the second half, but I think if they really believe in it and start to play some of the football they're capable of, they can open up this Paraguay back five.
The game's been simmering. Is it about to come to the boil? Vidrio comes up for the header. Victorino's knocked down. Paraguay maybe with a chance to break. It's suddenly all opening up in the last couple of minutes of this Group B contest in Cali. Paraguay with 2 forward. Mexico with, what, about 6 or 7 defenders back already.
Oh, that's wonderful defending there. I think that's Rodriguez done an excellent defensive job. He tracked back fully 60 yards to make a wonderful time tackle. And there's been some excellent defending, let's not forget that. It's very much part of the game. Some of the timing of the tackles, like I think of Marquez on a few occasions, certainly Rodriguez. And on the other side, I think Cáceres and Sanabria have made some lovely time tackles. So it's been some excellent defensive work as well tonight.
Asasi trying to find the killer cross.
Nearly did there. I think it was Gonzalez pulled off the back of Vidrio. Excellent ball from Asasi, and I think maybe Gonzalez would have thought he could have done better with that header.
Well, less than 2 minutes remain. Mexico, as it stands, if they get a point from this, would top the group on 4 points. Brazil would have 3, Paraguay would have 2, and Peru just the 1. Miguel Cáceres and Gonzalez, the 2 substitutes, making a difference here for Paraguay. It's Gonzalez forcing his way through against Marquez. The referee points for a corner.
looked to me it may have crossed the line, but again, excellent tracking back from Marquez. Pace, you know, good concentration. Had to make the challenge in case Gonzalez flipped the ball into the box, but this is the real bit of concentration he needs now, Marquez. Make sure there's nothing, no chance in this corner.
Sanabria makes his run. There's pushing and a free kick for Mexico.
He's pushing and shoving in the box. I mean, very much part of continental defending. You know, sometimes the defenders don't even watch the ball, they just look at you and hold you, and it is very frustrating at times. But I have to say that the corners haven't been of the greatest quality today. A bit too floaty for me. I like that driven ball. You know, I like the whipped-in one, or if you're going to drive the outswing, at least drive it with a bit of pace.
Final minute, plus any stoppage time, of course. I don't think there's been too much of that in the second half. Mexico with a free kick now. Again, Garcia Raspe is the man immediately alongside the referee, very anxious to get this free kick taken. You see Juan Cáceres get a knock in the face.
I think that's one of them flailing elbows again, but no intent from Borghetti. I mean, he's got his eye on the ball, and you centre forwards, you have to jump with your arms. That's certainly an excuse I use when I played anyway. So.
Borghetti, Victorino, Marquez, all providing the movement in the penalty box here, and it's almost in from Marquez.
What a chance with 2 minutes to go. It would have sealed certainly Mexico's passage into the quarterfinals. Wonderful delivery from Garcia Raspe, and this is an unbelievable chance. He's only got to get a touch on it. Oh, and he goes with his right foot, doesn't get any type of contact at all. What a chance.
Well, we've complimented him on his defensive qualities tonight because he's been strong and solid at the back for Mexico, but well, that would have been a chance to put Mexico in the quarterfinals, and he was just a whisker away from the proper contact.
Well, would have kept his display, you know, to finish with a goal would have been wonderful. And I always feel that sometimes when the ball's coming across your body, to go with your right foot's the wrong one. You've got to let it come across your body, maybe use your left foot and use a bigger area to try and contact with side foot, left foot, maybe the flew in the top corner.
Well, the delivery from this man was quite wonderful.
Yeah, quite why he's been out of the international scene for so long, you don't know, because, you know, it's a wonderful left foot delivery, he really has.
He was man of the match against Brazil the other night, and he's had another influential display. But Paraguay, they scored a late one the other night against Peru. Are they going to do the same here? Gonzalez coming forward, firing off target.
Got to go across the goal, Steve. I mean, it's the old adage, but, you know, he didn't look that confident on his left foot there. Could have taken it off another step, but it's a wonderful opportunity late in the game. And really, one thing he has to do, he has to test Martinez at least. And if he goes across the goal...
Time for another touch as well, didn't he?
Absolutely. But, you know, nothing wrong with taking the shot early if you fancy yourselves, but you've got to go across goal, because if Martinez parries it out, maybe a tap-in.
Well, it's finished goalless in Cali. Paraguay and Mexico have managed to nullify each other. A great chance late on for Mexico with Marquez. Before that, Garcia Raspe, the move of the match. But full time, it's Paraguay 0, Mexico 0.
And it's all still to be sorted out in Group B. The next action for us comes in Group C. Sky Sports Extra for another double-header, with Uruguay against Costa Rica from 11 o'clock tonight, followed by Honduras against Bolivia. When we come back, all the Group B action tonight, the hooks of Bobby Gould and Craig Brown.